Welcome to the Historic Materials tag. This tag was originally made by Library at the Edge of the World by Holly and Jen Campbell from Jen Campbell's channel. This tag is about the love and joy of reading Philip Pullman's Historic Materials trilogy. I thought it was very appropriate to join this tag, mostly because I love his Historic Materials trilogy as much as anybody. So I wanted to try it out. This is my first tag actually. So let's see how this goes. First question is, what edition do you have of Historic Materials? I'm going to start off with my own copy of Northern Lights. As you might see, this is a Norwegian edition. I think it's from 1999. It's paperback. I tried to find out who's illustrated this cover. I think it's a Norwegian illustrator. I will find out more thoroughly and link it down here somewhere. Also, of course, I will link to the original tag down below. This is a Norwegian version, and most of the books I have is in Norwegian because I work at a Norwegian library. This is my personal copy, and I know that we have these versions also in hardback at the library. Subtle Knife, also Norwegian, but it's a newer edition. I think this is what they look like now. The Amber Spyglass. The newer edition of Northern Lights is also bluish color. These are the editions that I own personally. The library has more of the same, I think, in hardback, and we also have editions with all three books in the trilogy in one, and most of them are hardback because then they live longer at the library. Second question is, what is your favorite book in Historic Materials? This is really hard. I'm going to try to not spoil the whole trilogy here, but my favorite book is, I think, number 1, mostly because I've read it twice and because I mostly remember what it's about. To the fact, but they changed the name of the first book, didn't they? I remember they specifically did in Norwegian because it started out being Northern Lights, and suddenly the books were called The Golden Compass. What's that all about? Can somebody please tell me what that is all about? My favorite book in the trilogy? I think I'm gonna have to go with number 1, but this is really tricky because I remember being baffled most, like I'd never been baffled before, in book 3, The Amber Spyglass, because of what happened in that book, as still shaking me kind of. Question number 3, which is your favorite character?
I want to say Lyra, mostly because I almost don't remember any of the names of the other characters because it's so freaking long since I read these books.
Also the witches, which I can't for the love of life right now remember what names are, but the main witch in the series was also pretty cool. Witches in general in the series is really cool. Question number 4, what would your demon be? If my soul was an animal, what would my soul be like?
I like to think that my demon is a cat. Mostly because, well, I like cats.
This is a very personal question, isn't it?
I think my demon would be a cat. Because I feel like I'm a kind of a cat person. Not to think that maybe I could be a panda or something. I don't know. I think it'd have to be an animal which is kind to others, but at the same time to be not hesitant to protect itself and its own interests. So I think cat. I can defend myself against other animals, but I can also be loving and caring. So let's go with cat. It's simple, but I'm not sure it would be accurate. But it would have to be an animal who can travel along with me. So probably a dog would be easier. But you can get a cat on a plane, but I don't think it would be a goldfish.
I think my demon would be a cat. I think a cat represents my soul pretty well. Question number 5, what world in Historic Materials would I like to live in? I think it's quite obvious that since I like magic and fantasy and stuff, I would like to live with a world where there is magic. I'd like to live in Lyra's world. They have witches and they have demons and they have talking animals. I mean, what's not to like? What magical object would you like to obtain, assuming you could use it? I have to choose between the alethiometer, the golden compass, the subtle knife, or the amber spyglass. according to what I remember they are used for, I think I would go with the subtle knife, because I could travel worlds. I could go from one world to the next, and I could be in a world with magic, and I could go be in a world without magic. I could be in a trouble at one place and then just escape to another in seconds and be safe if someone was chasing me. I mean, what's not to like about that? So yeah, the subtle knife would be my answer. Have you read any of the accompanying literature to his Dark Materials? I think I have read Lyra's Oxford. And then the final question is, have you reread them? Would you like to reread them? Do you remember anything particular about reading them? I seem to remember that I read them more or less at the same time as I read the first Harry Potter books. And I read them kind of parallel, but that series was finished. So, you know, it wasn't like I didn't have to wait for a long time. I think it must have been about 12 or 13 when I read the first book, and I was probably about 15, 16 when I read The Amber Spyglass. I reread the first book 4 or 5 years later because I wrote a paper on the Norwegian translation. There's been so many other books in the meanwhile, so I've kind of forgotten them. And that's sad. It's really sad because they are so good. I love his Dark Materials. I've just forgotten about it, which is a shame. I read them before high school anyway, and I just remember I really liked them. And I enjoyed, like I said earlier, I enjoyed the first one most, I guess, but the third one blew my mind. Like, it was not unlike anything I'd ever read before, and I don't think I've read anything quite like it ever since either, which is kind of interesting. So it would be really interesting to reread all three quite rapidly. And I notice now I really want to do it because I hardly remember anything except that the third one really blew my mind. It made such a huge impact on me while reading them, and I don't think any other fantasy series except Harry Potter has made such a huge impact on me as his Dark Materials did. And I think it's very sad that they made one very meh movie about the first book, because people, you know, never got to know the ending, and they apparently didn't make enough money because they didn't make a sequel. And I think that's like lots of people, that's their impression of that trilogy, because, oh yeah, I saw the movie, it wasn't that good. Well, you know, of course it wasn't, because it was crap. And the books are so much better, and there are 2 more books that haven't been filmed, so you should really read the books. And I get very annoyed. You know, people should read them. And I think, at least in Norway, they've been quite forgotten because it's been a while since they came out, and none of the companion stuff has been translated, so there has been no buzz about them, which is kind of sad. They should be read, and I'm going to push it on everyone now that walks into the library. Read his Dark Materials. Read The Amber Spyglass. Now, I know it's thick, but it's so worth it. Read it. First thing at work tomorrow, I'm going to push it on everyone that just comes in the door. So, because it's so good. It's just so good. I want to thank Holly and Jen Campbell for reminding me how much I love these books, because I've kind of forgotten. Read these awesome books. Read them because they're awesome. They are awesome. They're awesome. They're awesome. Thanks for reminding me how much I love these books, Holly and Jen. I really love them. I don't know why I've forgotten them. They're awesome. They're just awesome. If you have read his Dark Materials, please do the tag or comment. It was really fun doing a tag for once. I've never done a tag before, so this was really fun. And of course, about books that I love, a series that should be read by everyone who likes fantasy and should read good literature in general. Yeah, I'd like to thank Holly from Library at the Edge of the World and Jen Campbell at Jen Campbell for creating this tag, this really cool tag, and letting me having the chance to do my first tag, finally. Check out their original videos and bookish thoughts. I'll leave the links down below, and have a nice day.